Hello everybody, this is episode 50 of the podcast of NoBSNutrition. Do you want to build muscle? Do you want to lose body fat? Watch this video for the best way possible. Hello everybody, so typically how does this podcast work? I talk about what I do, who I am. My name is Drake Aguilar. I'm 18 years old and I'm a personal trainer for Destiny Fitness. Pretty much how these podcasts work is I talk about a topic or a subject, typically 10 to even 17 minutes long, sometimes 20 if I'm more in depth in that subject. And you can check out these podcasts right on my social media page. I have Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and LinkedIn. If you want to check those check those social media pages, you can. With these type of videos I talk about fitness obviously, but also I make funny skit videos, correction exercise videos, stuff like that. Pretty much today we're going to talk about the best way to lose body fat and build muscle mass. Pretty much it'll be a simple story time many times of this throughout this podcast. We're going to talk about, if you see any value in this or you probably saw my other videos, then please like and subscribe, comment below for the YouTube algorithm. So let's get into it. Story time. So how to barely move the scale not to see big weight loss. And the reason why we don't want to see big weight loss is actually because we don't want to lose a lot of muscle mass. And typically this happened to me personally when I was 144 and doing a reverse diet to gain my calories to 3,000 calories. It was at 2,000. That was my baseline. And when I was gaining my calories to 3,000, reverse dieting after a diet, because I lost 110 pounds, I was 255 pounds. When I was doing that, I was actually reverse dieting my calories, adding extra calories over time, about a 3 months time frame. And my goal was to actually just to gain around 3 to 5 pounds. And most of it probably was muscle because it was a slow period of time. I slowly gained the weight, and now I got my calories roaring like crazy, but it took me a long time. And it's very hard for some people, really the mental aspects of it, because you always learn or you always saw on social media or always know that losing weight can be fast. It could if you want to lose the wrong kind of weight. If you want to lose mostly muscle mass, just get it fast, get it done and over with. You could do a shit ton of cardio. Doesn't matter, go on cardio and go on a restricted diet. You could lose all the weight you want. But if you want to make this sustainable, it's very hard mentally to actually do it slow. But it's the best thing you can do for yourself. Not just because of consistency later on, but also because it's actually going to help you lose more body fat later on. And it's going to help you actually look better later on. And that's the name of the goal, is to look better if you want looks, but also have health. It's this quote from Mind Pump, video description below where I got the topic, but it's this quote from Mind Pump: if you chase health, you will get the looks. If you chase the looks, you will not get the health. And there's no point chasing the looks if you're not going to get the mental and physical health of actually getting the looks. I'd rather get the health than actually get the looks, in my opinion. So I would suggest to barely see the scale move, barely, not even a lot, but have a body recomposition. Build fat, lose muscle lose fat, build muscle at the same time, and incrementally recom. I'm not talking about, but that's really it. I was going to say I'm not going to be talking about lose a lot of fat, build muscle, really just barely see the scale move. I would suggest taking a long-term goals versus short-term goals. So long-term goals is barely seeing the scale move, trying to do actually strength training to build muscle mass. I would suggest if you focus on building muscle mass and focus on strength training, you will actually have a higher chance of keeping your body fat low, losing body fat, and also this can actually help you to be more consistent, to be more responsible, to be more pursuing than having a short-term goal. Like I said, if you want to lose all this weight in a matter of time, you can, and I can give you the best diet plan, eat low carb, eat whatever, have a restricted diet, do shit ton of cardio, 5 hours of cardio a day, and you can lose all the weight you want. But if you want to actually make this a sustainable approach, then make sure you focus on a long-term goal and focus on strength training to build out muscle mass, so it can be actually easier to lose body fat later on. Because with that muscle, therefore your body fat decreased. And when you have your body fat decreased, you'll be more consistent overall. It's many ways to do this with strength training. You could focus on the compound lift, bench, squat, and deadlift. Those are the best forms of focusing on, in my opinion. They're less time consuming, they have more efficient, they have more output, muscular adaptation, multiple things that I would suggest to focus on and to actually get good at, because that's going to help you later on in the long term to actually have a good training program, possibly, depending on what your goals, of course, and to actually burn the most body fat in a short period of time. And typically this lasts for 6 months, especially as a coach, maybe a young coach out there that doesn't have the information like me, because I'm still new and I'm not even going to be talking out of experience. But my point is, especially what my point is quoted, is as a young coach or as a new coach in the field, you want to help the client, right? You want to help them. Like, if you obviously know information, but the client wants to, get the results, you kind of feel eager, like, hey, I need to show this person progress, or they're going to leave me, this and that. I'm afraid if they're going to leave, go to a different coach, but you don't want to do that, and you want to make sure slow and long-term approach, not just because of consistency and just pursuance. Maybe that client will stick with you, but also you're saving so much time and trouble later down in the future, and that client can have a lot of downside, not just physical but mental downside. It's because you went too fast. And this sounds really ridiculous. Okay, I went too fast, so what? My point is, you can have a negative aspect of this and make it so harder to lose body fat and ruin the chance of you gaining muscle or any signs of progress. If I have a person who's at 1,800 calories or 2,000, I'll let that person be there, increase his activity. If he doesn't have any activity at all, increase his activity, slowly build muscle, barely see the scale change, but therefore adding calories over time, adding kind of a surplus of calories. That's why we talk about reverse dieting. We're not going to a crazy surplus. We're just adding calories over time. Therefore, they can mentally get the hand of their calories mentally, instead of going on the bulk and feel like they're stuffing themselves. Mentally, they can get used to it. That's why a reverse diet, in my opinion, can be good mentally, and also show their metabolism can speed up, so it can be hungrier for those calories than just going on a 500 calorie extra and being stuffed with the protein intake they're taking in, and also the whole foods they should be consuming during this process. So that's what I will say for the long and short-term goals in that sense. But how would you measure progress? It's multiple ways to measure progress, but you want to measure progress to actually, if you're doing this by yourself, you actually want to show yourself value, show yourself that is actually working, to know that you go in the right direction. Because if you're not, then you're going to be more demotivated, less consistent, because you don't know if you're making progress. You do not want to go to a cave with no flashlight and just being blind. You want to have a flashlight so you can see through that cave and know where to look for. So that, and since you can use body fat measures, body fat scans, DEXA scans, they're not as accurate, but body fat percentages, progress pictures, waist circumferences, or all three. That's what I would suggest, so you can see, oh, I lost 2%, or oh, I lost 1 inch on my waist. So you're making those progress, therefore you get motivated over time, more disciplined, and more consistent, because we do want consistency overall. So this can be a lifestyle, not just because you want to lose the weight or do it for a short period of time. And also it's more healthier on you and your body. And that's one day, if you, especially by doing it fast, if you build you can't just tell construction workers, this is a little analogy, but you can't just tell a construction worker, hey, I need you to build this house in less than 30 days. It's not realistic. They can mess up the project, they can mess up the house, it'll be unstable, you enter the house, something breaks, a lot of things. But realistic is, a foundation takes about, 30 days, we need to do this, we need to do that. That's probably going to take 2 months instead of 30 days, because we need to do this just for the foundation itself. So you need to make a foundation, a lay work plan, or a foundation outline, a blueprint, where you can focus on your short-term goals, and meaning by having process goals. Not short term, I take that back. Process goals. So eat my protein intake for the day, do my cardio for the day, focus on my strength training for the day. Therefore, in a week long, you got a week-long process goal. And if you have a week-long process goal, it makes up for those short goals, and therefore you go into your longer goals, if that makes sense. You go into the big goal, aka the big goal is you gain the muscle mass, you have your looks, you're being healthy and being more consistent with fitness. So that's the whole point of the game, to be more consistent than going on cardio. Also, I would suggest is, if times like empty calories, we call it, pretty much having Gatorade, sodas, stuff that has a lot of calories, liquid calories typically, you can replace it by more nuts, more whole foods, maybe more protein intake. It's very simple and people don't understand that. I mean, if you want to do a body recomposition, is it's not necessarily hard depending on your schedule. Of course, you have to make sure your sleep is correct. Without sleep, it's not going to be the best thing you can do, and it's not going to work as well or not at all, because if your sleep is messed up. So you need to make sure your sleep is allocated for, I recommend for probably 9 hours of sleep, or no, 8 hours to 7 hours of sleep, but aim for higher, because of laying in bed, it's not sleeping, wake up in the middle of the night, it's not sleeping, underestimating your time of when you fall asleep, it's not sleeping. So you need to focus to have that blunt. I would recommend 1 gram per pound of body weight of protein, or your goal weight. So if you're like 300 pounds but your goal weight is 180, eat 180 grams of protein. If you don't want to do that, you can always multiply it by 0.8 grams of protein per pound of body weight you have. You could try that. And the whole point of this is just to replace your calories from things that are not necessarily good for you, so it can be easier. So if at 10 o'clock a.m. you drink a Gatorade with a candy bar, maybe take out the Gatorade, have some protein, take out the candy bar and take out the Gatorade, have a protein bar and a protein shake instead. Replace those empty calories with something that can help you over time to have that body recomposition, so you can eat more protein. And that's going to help a foundation later on to build that muscle mass and to actually recruit it. And a lot of people get confused when I'm talking about building muscle and burning fat. These type of workouts, especially hit cardio, you can't just lift weights and go out of nowhere. You can't lift weights and just do cardio and thinking you get 2 pathways. It doesn't work like that. Your body will, if it has too much, like not just mental, but just too much stress on the body, like having poor sleep or having overtraining, or you're too sore the next day, that is a stress on the body. And when the body have a stress like that, it has a mechanism to store body fat, because back in caveman ages, typically when you have a lot of stress is because you had bad sleep, you're running away from a wild animal, or you're very hungry and starving. There wasn't a lot of food in the BC ages. There wasn't a lot of food when you were like cavemen. So that's why the body does that, so they can store body fat so you can survive through those famines or through the starvation periods of time. So you need to make sure that your body is not as stressed as possible. How you would do that is not try to overtrain. Focus on training variables, focus on intensity, frequency, and volume. Focus on, if you're too sore the next day or sore, doesn't mean it's working. It means you're not adapting. And if the next day, you might be stronger because of new beginnings. That's what we call it in the fitness world. You're a beginner. You might get stronger even if you're sore or damaged. But just let you know, in the long term, that's not going to be good, or you're not going to be as consistent, or you won't gain as much muscle at all. You probably gain body fat because you're overtraining to a certain point, and you're not adapting. You're just healing. We call that adaptation. But my point is, for this video, is to focus on variables, build a foundation, focus on process goals to get to your long-term goal. So eat protein intake, build muscle, stuff like that. Therefore, you will over time body recomposition. And how you would do that is see the empty calories that you have and eat more protein. Eat a protein bar, eat a protein shake, eat whole meals, meal prep, stuff like that. Eat more protein. And it's going to be very hard. And back to the topic about doing cardio and weights, it's not going to work. Too much stress on the body, and you can only give the body so much in one direction. You can do cardio and weights, but it gotta be separate, and you can't be good at 2 things at once, or at least better at. You gotta be focused on one, because that's the body can do. Okay, that's really it for today's video. I hope this topic really helps you guys for your fitness journey, fat loss, whatever. I hope this topic helps. But just make sure the best way to lose body fat is actually a body recomposition. Most people know about this, and this video for my pump is kind of old compared to now of the news now, but it should help with some people. If this podcast really helps, please like and subscribe, and please follow my podcast. I'm trying to promote my YouTube channel. I'm a young kid, but I'm trying to get more subscribers so I can help people on their fitness journey. I might not look super jacked or super knowledgeable, but I am spreading the information, and the whole point of fitness is to be healthier. Okay, so if you like content like this, or you just want to support me, please like and subscribe. I'm every social media platform you can imagine, and that's really it. Thank you guys. Goodbye.